Will Elder Scrolls 6 be another patented Bethesda disaster? Because people have been losing hope really fast recently. Fallout 76, absolute disaster. Redfall, complete trash. And now, the worst of all, Starfield. And people know that the people who have been working on these absolute disasters and failures are now working on Elder Scrolls 6. And even worse, they're using the same engine from those games on Elder Scrolls 6. So people have been losing a lot of hope that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to even be remotely decent.
So what does Elder Scrolls 6 need to accomplish in order to save it from becoming just another Starfield? Well, first, let me give you guys some background. So if you know anything about me or you've been on the channel for any long period of time, you know that I used to love Bethesda games. And recently, the only emotion that I can think of whenever I think of Bethesda as a company is complete disappointment. I mean, I'm sure
I think a lot of people agree. I think loads of people agree. Especially even now after the Fallout TV show series that's coming out and all that we have seen, that Bethesda doesn't even... They have already been retconning the Fallout lore for a while now. Every game just retcons already existing lore. It doesn't make sense. It's bad. But the TV series completely just obliterates any Fallout lore that seemingly has ever existed. And, again, Bethesda has been just ruining game after game after game. So, a lot of people just feel only disappointment for, well, whatever is left of Bethesda.
A lot of you agree with me if you did click on this video. So, of course, I believe it's safe to assume that the Elder Scrolls 6 will be coming out sometime in 2027 to about 2029. That's the average range that it should be coming out in. And I'm sure the teams over at Bethesda, if
oh, look at that, a sandwich, because that was a great meme. Physics.
They even see this video, they probably will not pay it any mind. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to speak collectively from the community who used to love your games. And the main reason that I'm making this video is because I know there will always be, you know, Bethesda fanboys that buy every single game that they release. But
that is so sad. Every time I look at 76 and call it a disaster still, because it is a disaster still, there's a bunch of people who are saying, I'm level 2000 and I'm having fun. How dare you? Okay. Listen. Every game that turns to shit has still a niche audience of players that still play it, call it good, or say it's not bad. It doesn't mean that the game is not bad. It just means that time to time everyone likes some kind of shitty game that no one else likes, and they think it's fantastic some magically how. It happens to me, it happens to you, it happens to all of us. But please be smart enough to recognize that a game is not a success if less than 1% of the expected player base is still playing it.
I truly do believe that with the absolute disaster that was Starfield, and then the community responses that they made towards the negative reviews on Steam and things like that, the different scandals they found themselves in ever since Starfield's release, they seem to have lost a pretty significant amount of their consumer base. And I'm trying to do a generalized video here of how Bethesda can possibly regain that audience that they completely lost, and that consumer base that used to enjoy their game so much, but Starfield was really the last straw, myself included. So what do I think is the main problem with
Man, I can't. Starfield, though, is just such a absolutely terrifying disappointment.
Every major Bethesda release that has come out ever since Fallout 4. Let's be honest here, it's soullessness. I mean,
Dude, remember the good old times when we were like, yeah, Fallout 4 is not the greatest, there's this, there's that, there's a lot of missing in what we expect from a game like this. And now after playing the last Bethesda games, you're looking back at Fallout 4 and you're like thinking, God damn, Fallout 4 was a man. Unironically, after Starfield came out, I was looking back at my times playing Fallout 4 and I was thinking, man, this is Fallout 4 actually a really good game. Even though it's not even remotely closely comparable to, like, you know, New Vegas or anything. But man, that's just how bad Fallout 76 and Starfield are. It's just how legitimately bad things are.
don't have that same feeling that I once had whenever I play a Bethesda game anymore. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. I mean, I didn't have the same feeling leaving the mining colony in Starfield as I did leaving Good Springs in Fallout New Vegas, or leaving Helgen in
Obviously.
Skyrim. That feeling of exploring this vast open world which used to only exist in a Bethesda game just wasn't there. And that feeling of wanting to talk with every single NPC because you were genuinely curious about their story wasn't there either. I'm sure I don't even have to get started on exploration here. I mean, I remember a time whenever all I wanted to do was go and fill in.
Dude, yeah. When Starfield first dropped, man, how many times did I speak about how bad even just the first 10 minutes of the game are? Like, Starfield is incomprehensibly bad in the first beginning of the game. You're like spending 20 minutes in a fucking dark mining tunnel doing absolutely nothing but getting bored out of your mind because you need to listen to some stupid dialogue of a person who is acting like you have been there for them for the first second of their lives, and it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's just so bad in so many ways. It's insane, and that is the first start of the game. That is literally your first 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of the game, and then it gets even worse because you need to fly up, clear pirates, fight space battles, and then you get to a tutorial that teaches you to fly while you have already done it, which makes no sense. Dude, even just the first 30 to 40 minutes of the game are an absolute unmitigated disaster of storytelling, game design, and experience. Especially, and by the way, the experience, yes, is also absolutely terrible because the first weapon you get in Starfield is the Garut, whatever it's called. You know, the SMG looking thing. Yeah, that one. Where you need to use 20 to 30 bullets to kill a basic level 1 enemy. And you run out of ammo pretty much, and it's horrible. It's like, and then you find a boss monster, and it's like, okay, this guy in an astronaut suit survived 200 bullets. What now? It's so bad.
In every single map marker location in Skyrim, and in Starfield, it's just not there. I genuinely do not care if I miss a planet because I know it's all going to be the same garbage. So why would I waste my time exploring a barren planet that I know will have the same exact locations as a planet I just explored, whenever I can go back and play Skyrim and know that every single location is going to have some hint of individuality about it.
Yep.
Or maybe even some quest that you can only engage with.
I mean, think about this. How many times did you enter a cave in Skyrim and it was the same design cave as the previous one, but you did not feel like you had been there, okay? You could tell it's the same design cave from everything, but it still felt unique. In Starfield, the third cave you go into, you can already tell, wait a minute, this is reused assets and tiles. I have been there. This RNG generation is literally the same as the very first cave I have been in. And that's not, and by the way, that's not an overstatement. That is just how it actually is.
With if you explore that location. And that's what I'm trying to get across here whenever I make this point about soullessness. It feels like old Bethesda games were tailor-made to what the player was interested in. It didn't feel like every single map location and marker in Skyrim or Fallout was taken and expanded miles apart and then just dropped into a solar system randomly. And even though it does that, there's nothing there. You go to one of these locations and there's nothing. It's pointless exploration, and that's something that Bethesda has let slip. And that's what I truly believe used to be the soul of a Bethesda game, is that you were dropped into this expansive and interactive world where you could go around and fully explore it in every location that you encountered.
Not just the exploration, the dialogues are stupid. Every single NPC you talk in, especially Starfield, instantaneously acts like you have been their best friends in childhood for 30 years or something. It's just off-putting. There's no secrecy. Everything is on it. It's just dumb.
Had some kind of unique personality and reason to be there. And if that soul, that core soul of the game is gone, just like it was in Starfield, then you're going to be seeing the same thing today whenever Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. And if that happens, then the old fans who used to love Bethesda games and are possibly willing to give Elder Scrolls 6 a shot despite, you know, the disappointment they suffered at the hands of Starfield, they will see the negative reviews, they'll see that it's more of the same, more procedurally generated nonsense.
Nice.
And then they won't even open up their wallets a little bit.
I'm completely fine with Bethesda being completely obliterated. I'm completely fine with this. Because there's no hope, okay? The reason Starfield was the least buggy Bethesda game, and yes, we need to put a special protection helmet on Bethesda's head because, you know, Bethesda's bugginess of games falls into its own category of existence, okay? Being the least buggy Bethesda game is not because Bethesda tried. It's because Microsoft bought them, came in and said, yeah, you're going to cook this thing like a year or two more. Because you're not releasing it at the state. I am 100% convinced if Microsoft did not buy Bethesda, Starfield would come out and be in a worse state than Fallout 76. And Fallout 76, it's not a meme. I played that game on release. It was actually atrocious with the bugs, with the everything. It was, you couldn't even, you legitimately could not spend more than 2 minutes in that game without noticing some kind of new bug or something like that. It was crazy. And that would have been Starfield if Microsoft didn't intervene. So, you know.
Not even whenever the game inevitably gets discounted. So I said that is the main complaint, and I truly do believe that that is the main problem with Bethesda games nowadays. But another thing that I want to bring up is quantity over quality. So something you see quite often from role-playing.
By the way, I love how stupid this scene is. So, look at this. You have this rando child looking at a starship like it's the first time she sees it, even though she's clearly old enough to have seen multiple starships, because that's not rare in this universe, okay? a starship flying away is not rare at all.
And
So, and there's this guy, okay? He's probably the pilot, right? He's randomly just walking besides the spectating area, which is, by the way, only one person, because this is how common flying is in this universe, right? That little girl has grown up in, and he's just randomly like fucking walking the perimeter or something like that, and then he just notices the little girl and watch.
Truly do believe that
he notices the little girl and
that
watch.
is the main problem with
He stops in confusion because she's looking at something.
Bethesda games nowadays.
And then and then he's like, she's looking at the... No shit, Sherlock, she's looking at the ship. I don't know who's more retarded, the little girl or this dude. Okay? It's I don't know.
But another thing that I want to bring up is quantity over quality. So something you see...
And then he gives her a fist bump?
Quite often from role-playing.
It looked like a fist bump, but it's actuality the logo that no one cares about.
In games is this fallacy that
and she's like so happy.
Believe that they need the biggest
and he's like so happy.
Map possible.
And now she's gonna breathe some exhaust fumes because that surely could not be dangerous at all.
With the most NPCs living in it. And what often ends up happening...
Also, the idea that you have like that barrier, it's transparent for no fucking reason, because keep in mind, making something transparent is harder than not making it transparent. Means that that's like a transparent barrier so people can see through it, but it's of the size that even a non-full-grown child can just peek their what I don't there's no logic in this. Well, there's no logic in Starfield in general, but you see just stuff like this. I don't know who makes these decisions, but that person has never, you know, even encountered physics in real life.
Is that you have a huge, large, open world with nothing going on. I've already previously alluded to this in my last part, and I truly do believe that the two best contrasts between quantity over quality and quality over quantity is with Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3. So if you've played Baldur's Gate 3, then you know that the map is not the largest in the world in terms of overall size. But on top of that, you never saw any negative feedback pertaining to the game's map size or the NPCs at all. So why is that? It's because Larian Studios, whenever they were making Baldur's Gate 3, tailor-made every aspect of the map because they had the resources to do so, and also because they chose to maybe have smaller maps just with more content and detail. And whenever I bring up resources, I'm not by any means talking about financial resources. I'm sure Starfield had a way bigger development budget than Baldur's Gate 3. What I'm saying is that because they condensed their map, they were able to fill it with more content, and they weren't subject to long, vast open areas with absolutely nothing to fill them. And I think it's nothing short of poetic that these two games released alongside each other, because they both show excellently the principles that I'm trying to express to you guys in this section of the video, being quantity over quality and then quality over quantity. So if the Elder Scrolls 6 goes with the same model as Starfield and has a 100-kilometer map with almost nothing to do inside of it and vast empty
well, they have a lot to do inside of it, but everything you can do inside of it is going to be sad, bad, and boring.
Locations that you can go to and uninteresting NPCs, well, then they're going to fall into the exact same trap that they're seeing now. And if they decide to take a page out of the Larian Studios or Baldur's Gate 3 handbook and make a smaller map with more dense and fun content to do and more engaging content, then I believe the game will be all the better for it. Because I truly believe that gamers can tell the difference between a handcrafted game made very carefully and precisely and more procedurally generated nonsense. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is a little more technical and less philosophical, and that's that the animations, the fighting, the character design feels so incredibly archaic for a game that came out in the 2020s. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into that in a second, but for right now, I want you to look at the difference between two scenes from Cyberpunk 2077 and Starfield.
Oh boy. Oh, we have seen this.
This so fucking hard? Fucking ass on the fucking couch!
Make me.
Thought you'd never ask.
Jack, sit down.
This ain't gonna end well, but...
Shit. Well, alright.
Your security here going to stand or sit for this little meeting, making me nervous. So polite. Almost makes me forget what planet I'm on.
Fucking tricked out this thing.
Dude, I absolutely love the fact, by the way, that that Starfield copyists were, oh my god, look at Neon. Neon is so better than Cyberpunk 2077. It's actually amazing. Oh my god, it's so better. It was the funniest thing ever. Because you know they're not being ironic. They're just so fucking blind. It's insane.
Dynamic thermal optic camo armor. Full cognitive immersion with a Raven controller. Pimped out prototype actuators made of titanium, vanadium, Kevlar composite. And watch this. Fully integrated Link 2. So when the spider starts crawling up walls dangling from ceilings.
Could lose your lunch.
This. Well, look at that. One of a kind. And I know you want it.
You know what's the worst part? It's not actually the comparison, it's just how actually when okay, let me explain how bad this scene in Starfield is. Not scene, but part of the game, I guess we can call it. Okay, so before you go into this situation, the guy next to you, what's his name? I forgot already. Tells you that money is not a problem. We just get the artifact. Blah blah blah. Life's not more important. Blah blah blah. Essentially, he's a billionaire, and whatever this guy is asking is peanuts to him. It's not even peanuts. It's just not there. He could ask 10 times whatever he's asking, and the other guy's like, oh wait, did I? I'm not even a 0.1% poorer now. It's that fine, okay? And that's the whole situation. He tells you that life is precious because obviously, I guess everyone in Starfield is a loser, and we can give him as much money as possible. And here a shootout starts because he's asking more money from the rich guy who has so much money he does not care. And it's It's just so stupid. The whole scene doesn't make sense. Literally, information that is given you about the situation to contextualize what's happening 5 seconds ago before this starts completely does not apply to anything in the future because it just doesn't make sense. It's just so bad. Dialogue cannot even... It's so poorly written that what you hear 5 seconds ago in the game could be completely just deleted by the actions of another person that, or the same person that even said that 5 seconds after they say it. This is how poorly just written the game is.
I have the amount we agreed on.
Things have changed. I want double.
Paid out.
Got it. I don't see any fucking brick around here, do you?
Come on. Can't expect me to pay for this thing twice.
And who the fuck are you to say what can and can't be? You'll pay twice because I say you'll pay twice. Alright. You want the flathead? I better see some eddies.
I don't know, but your security here seems to have some fancy gear. Why don't they chip in?
All options, by the way, are equally cringe.
Not my problem.
It is if you leave empty-handed. We came here in good faith. Now honor our previous agreement.
You either figure out a way to give me what I want, or I walk out of here right now.
So as you can tell, you don't exactly have to have a game development degree to tell.
Yes, and again, that situation gets so much worse when you actually know the context of what's happening. It's just I can't. It's just so bad.
Which one of these is more immersive? So you can see that the character design in Cyberpunk 2077 is a lot more vibrant, a lot more natural. It's what real people would be doing whenever they're discussing a huge illegal deal. And on the other hand, you have Starfield. The characters are so robotic, and there's no atmosphere. There's no music here, so it feels strange. It feels weird. It feels inhuman. And that's the main problem with Bethesda animations nowadays, is that they feel so inhuman. You cannot, in any reasonable stretch of the imagination...
It's not even the animations. It is literally just the dialogue. The dialogue by itself makes no sense, and it's just bad.
Imagine humans talking or behaving this way whenever they're discussing some kind of huge deal or just going about their lives. And it's things like this that completely kill immersion. It reminds you that you are playing a video game because you sit and think to yourself, is this really how somebody would behave in this situation, just sitting there calmly talking? And then whenever you look at the other clip from Cyberpunk 2077, you think, wow, okay, that's probably what it would really be like.
That's so fun.
I'm going for it! Fuck off!
I see no difference.
So obviously you can tell that one of these is objectively better. There's no way around saying it. I know there's going to be some people in the comments that may be saying, oh, no game is objective. This is objectively better. If you disagree, then you have negative brain disease.
What do you mean no game is objective? What?
And I think these two clips perfectly show how horrendously outdated Bethesda's game design, especially whenever it comes to combat and animations, really are. And the combat from games like Cyberpunk 2077 are 100 times more immersive than you'll see in a Bethesda title. And I think this is 100% one of the issues that must be solved by the release of Elder Scrolls 6. RPGs need to feel immersive. They need to feel like something that would happen.
Okay, so the thing is, this cannot be solved. There's no way. Because if Elder Scrolls 6 is slated on an actual 2025, 2026, 2027 release, that means they have no time to change any of this garbage. They can't, because on average, these games take 7, 8, 10 years to make at this point. Starfield took 10 or something like that, right? So, you can't change it. The thing is, it's too late. Elder Scrolls 6 will come out whatever the fuck it currently is like. They will not be able to take a single lesson from the disasters of Starfield with them.
Happen by a highly skilled warrior, which you normally play as in Bethesda games. So with Elder Scrolls 6, we need a complete redesign of your character animations and also your combat systems, because anything less will be a complete insult to the people who buy your games. And if I'm being totally honest here, I can totally envision a world where Elder Scrolls 6 will have the exact same combat systems as Skyrim, a game that will have come out almost 20 years prior whenever Elder Scrolls 6 eventually releases.
Yep.
And that is a terrible...
It's on the literal same engine, okay? Yes, but unironically, yes. It's on the same engine that Skyrim is on. You're not going to get anything new. You're not going to get anything different.
Terrible thing, and that's going to turn off a large majority of your audience, especially whenever you have another game developed by CD Projekt Red that will likely be releasing alongside it with The Witcher 4. I can totally...
Yeah, we're going to see if The Witcher 4 is going to be woke or not, because CDPR Red is going very woke.
Imagine that The Witcher 4 is going to have a stellar combat system, so that's going to be a direct comparison, and it'll prove that Elder Scrolls 6 is objectively worse, just as I proved with Cyberpunk 2077 and Starfield. Bethesda truly does have a lot to do to win back the trust and salvage their reputation that they've built over the past few years. Now, I'm going to say at the end of this video that all of the arguments I made did not come from a position of hate. It came from a position...
They should have, because no one cares. I mean, there's not a lot of hope for this garbage anyway. Well, anyway, that was General Rubicon. It is what it is. I think it's dead. I think Elder Scrolls 6 is good. Because they already have begun development. They already have begun everything. It's too late to change anything, I think. So it's gonna be how it's gonna be. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.